Thank you for downloading this podcast. For the kind of help that means business, enter Entrepreneur SA with FNB by visiting 702.co.za.
Katie Catapodis and Lynn O'Connor both told me that they heard the most fascinating talk about the future. And I remember they've both got young kids and how our kids can be prepared for it, and how it can start at school attending age, youngsters, and even before. Now, both of them said it blew their minds. And the creative parent expert is the title she goes by, and she's also the author of a book called Future Proofing Your Child. A pleasure to welcome Nikki Bush. Nikki, hi.
Hi, John.
That's a heck of a compliment when people like Katie Catapodis and Lynn O'Connor give you compliments like that. It must be a great presentation.
Well, I love giving it, and I think it's one of those presentations that kind of leaves people completely stunned, but at the same time gives them hope that they are quite prepared to prepare their children for the future.
What amazed me was one statistic that said 60% of the jobs that our kids, or at my age, grandkids, will do don't exist today. Tell us about that.
That's right. So we're preparing our children for jobs that don't yet exist, and that makes parenting quite a challenging business today. It also affects educators, because everybody's sitting in the same boat of saying, how do we prepare our children for a world that we can't yet imagine? And the other thing is that probably 60 to 70% of our children are going to be entrepreneurs. That's the only way they're going to find employment. They're going to create their own employment, and they're going to be, large companies, major corporations will be outsourcing more and more because their head offices will be shrinking. And things like middle management are set to shrink. So, everything that we know as adults about the world of work is changing. And there are many, many books being written at the moment by specialists, including Graham Codrington, who co-authored this book with me, about the changing world of work. But we mustn't get hung up and paralyzed by the changes coming our way or our children's way. We have to look at how to prepare our children. We spend so much time trying to smooth the path for our children, but the context is changing so dramatically and so exponentially that there's not a hell of a lot we can do to control the environment, but we can do a lot to prepare our children for that path. So we mustn't lose sight of the fact that we have probably the biggest impact on our children, because in essence your children only spend a very short time at school. Gone are the days when you can drop children at the door of school and hope that 12 years later they can be prepared for the future. A lot more is going to come through from the family than ever before. Doesn't mean your children don't need good grades. They do. But they're going to need what we call X factors for success. And so our responsibility as parents today is to future-proof our children by ensuring that they have these 5 key X factors for success.
Well, let's go through them, Nikki. What are they?
Well, in broad brushstroke terms, and in the book, we obviously go into them in a great deal of detail. But the first one is creativity. Companies are going to pay top dollar for innovation, creativity, thinking outside of the box. And here's a nice one for parents. Think about your kids when they're playing with PlayStation Wii or watching a TV show. Whose original creative thought are they actually playing with? Is it their own? So if we're going to need a lot of creativity in the future, we have to give our children a lot of opportunity to express their ideas, to continue to express their creativity way beyond the age of 3 or 4 years of age.
So in other words, don't tell them what to think, what to feel. Ask them what they feel, how the idea might work. Take it further, explore this, whatever,
Well, when you're in the car with your children, they very often ask you questions. And because you're so busy and your mind is thinking of a lot of different things, you glibly give them all the answers instead of saying, well, what do you think? And starting up a conversation with your children. And if you had a preschooler, you read all those stories to your kids, and they want the same story over and over. Well, why not leave off the story ending and get the child to come up with their own ending using their creativity, etc.
Okay.
Then loving learning. If our children are going to have 10 to 14 jobs that the U.S. Department of Labor is estimating before the age of 38, probably across many, many different industries, then our children have to love learning, because skills and knowledge are becoming obsolete by the day. And your kids can go and do a degree today, and half the information could be obsolete within a couple of years' time. So we need kids who love learning, who want to keep up with the trends. And then resilience. We need kids who are very, very resilient because they are going to deal with change that we can't even imagine at a speed that we can't even imagine. You see, all those things like nanotechnology, biotechnology, space travel, artificial intelligence, robotics, etc.
Yes.
Those are kind of all in the laboratories of the world, in the R&D facilities. They're not yet mainstream, but they will be mainstream when our kids are in the world of work around 2030.
Nikki, it's fascinating, and we don't have time to go through it all, sadly. But I'm sure Reedy or someone will pick this up and go through it. And I had a look at the book last night. I didn't read the whole thing. Future-proofing your child, and it's absolutely marvelous. The other thing I found was a statistic that said for every MBA graduate in America, they get one job offer, but a fine arts and design graduate is going to get 10 offers.
Well, that's connected to what I said about creativity.
Yeah.
And we have a very sort of narrow mindset about what creativity is. But it's so much more than pretty pictures and movies and script writing and graphic design. And we have to really tap into this thing called creativity. And that's one of the reasons why a school cannot prepare a child alone anymore for the future, because we need these X factors: creativity, learning, resilience, knowing yourself really well, and relating to others. Those are those 5 key X factors to be developed, and much of what our children learn about those X factors is caught from us rather than taught in the classroom. So they're a visual generation. They are watching us. It's no longer a world of do as I say. It's a do as I do world. And so the onus on parents is actually to role model those X factors for success for their children today. After all, we're the first generation of parents who are no longer just the sage on the stage. We're also the guide alongside. We are growing up with our children today.
Fascinating. Nikki, how do people get hold of you? Because you do these talks at schools, etc., or businesses or whatever.
Yes.
What's the best way single way?
They can visit my website for loads of information and YouTube videos, etc. That's Nikki Bush, Nikki Bush, BUSH.com.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Nikki at brightideasoutfit.co.za.
Lovely, Nikki. Great talking to you. Thank you and well done.
Thanks, John.
Bye-bye. Nikki Bush. Really, really, really important, I think.
Your family, your community, your country, your responsibility. Be the best citizen you can be. Find the Bill of Rights on leadersa.co.za.
Thank you for downloading this podcast from Talk Radio 702. For more podcasts and more information on your number one news and talk station, please visit 702.co.za.